In this episode of Regen, the e-racing podcast, we talk about Formula E, the Diriyah E-Prix, Race 2, all of the ins and outs, all of the crashes, all of the podiums, everything in between. Chris is with me. It's going to be great. So listen in. Hello listeners and welcome to Regen, the e-racing podcast. I'm your host Dino and I'm joined once again by the most eager beaver in Formula E and the IPC trophy. It's Chris Soulsby. Hello.
Hello Dino, how are you?
I'm good. We're back to do the second race in Diriyah. Absolute cracker. Looking forward to it.
Yes, absolutely. We're a pair of eager beavers. Wanting to jump into some Formula E action. For probably one of the final times this year, to be honest with you.
Yes, actually it will be. Santiago is, well, it's just around the corner, but that corner is called January. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's, wow. God. Wow. Final Formula E race of the decade. Ooh.
Yes, it is. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Mic drop. I wouldn't drop the mic, but there we go.
Are you holding the microphone?
No, I just tapped it.
Oh, good.
Am I deafening you?
I was going to say, you're doing it wrong if that's the case. Right. Into qualifying for the second Diriyah race. Here we go. We saw a very, well, what we thought would be more like it in the grand scheme over the season. Da Costa coming out on top, Buemi, D'Ambrosio, Sims, Degrassi, Evans, Bird, Mortara, Maxi Gunter, and Andre Lotterer. So some big names in there. Without, obviously, Jean-Eric Vergne in the fray, and a few of the other protagonists. But just wanted to go through qualifying with you. What did you think of it this time with the track evolution not so drastic and the track having time to have all that dust swept off, Chris?
So for race 2 we saw essentially a more level playing field, I would say. Lap times were around about 3 seconds a lap faster for race 2, I believe. And it was an interesting qualifying session, really. And it is what we'll probably expect to see over the course of the season. Obviously in race 1, the dusty track surface really did hamper the runs of the Group 1 runners. And, it meant that the likes of Jean-Eric Vergne, Antonio Felix da Costa all started at the back. However, for the second qualifying of the weekend, the track evolution wasn't as much, but we also had those who were placed higher in the championship in Season 5 in the final group as well. And that meant that they had a fairer opportunity. And it was arguably a much fairer, but still mixed up grid. So we had the likes of Da Costa up there, Buemi up there, Lucas Degrassi, Sam Bird, Mitch Evans. They were still all up there in the top 10. And I think this qualifying session really did kind of show where everybody is at this point of the season.
Also, shout out to the man, Alexander Sims, 4th in the initial qualifying from Group 1. What a mega lap that was just to put himself into Superpole.
Yes, I mean, Alexander Sims is like the most unexpected power sliding guru out there. You look at Alexander Sims, and this is what everybody likes about him. He doesn't look like your typical racing driver, does he?
No.
You expect him to be the guy from the IT department to fix your computer. And that's the best thing about Alexander Sims. He is the unexpected hero. When you see him power sliding through corners in his BMW, pedal to the metal, an eager beaver, just flying through everything. It's pretty cool. We love to see it.
I really enjoyed that. And he was so stoked about that power slide. Yeah. It was just great to see. That smile after the power slide was awesome. Awesome to see.
It was great. He was talking to everybody in the media pen. He was like, "Do you see my slide?" He was like a proud kid was great.
Yeah, it obviously lost him a little bit of time, but he still managed, as we move on to Super Pole, managed once again 3 in a row for Alexander Sims to get the top step in Super Pole, with Sebastian Buemi, the powerhouse of qualifying, just pipped at the post. Then De Grassi, D'Ambrosio, Da Costa, and then Evans. Probably where D'Ambrosio and De Grassi should have been. I don't think anyone was catching the top two.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think Alexander Sims was in a league of his own come qualifying in Diriyah. I mean, obviously, it's a very successful track for BMW there now. They've now got a 100% pole position rate at that circuit, so they clearly like it. But for Alexander Sims, there was no one was stopping him. I mean, Sebastian Buemi, one of the most successful drivers in Formula E, he's got more wins than anyone else, more poles and more podiums, and not even he could catch Sims. And I think that's a real testament to what Alexander Sims is doing at the moment. And also, I mean, it was a historic result. It's the first time in Formula E we've seen a driver take 3 consecutive pole positions. So yeah, Alexander Sims really etching his name into the history books. I think De Grassi and D'Ambrosio, fair enough. 3rd and 4th, no one was catching Sims, and Buemi as well. You know, I think he was out of reach for those two. Mitch Evans, hopefully more to come from Jaguar, with a bit of luck. I think we'll see them, you know, iron out things in the early stages, and, you know, they'll be there. They'll be there.
I just want to put to you Da Costa's lap. He sort of threw it away. He was pushing maybe a little bit too hard to make it work for the car. I think he possibly could have caught Sims, but obviously that lap was mega. And exactly. Da Costa, you know, new team, new car. He's probably not 100% with it and couldn't. I mean, he was almost going into the wall, I think, but managed to keep it out and, yeah, just make sure he finished. But do you think he could have got there if it was a pretty perfect lap?
I think so. I think he was the fastest driver in the group qualifying stages, and he certainly had pace in the race conditions as well. It's just before, you know, Da Costa will get poles for DS Techeetah this year. That's a given, I think. Obviously, a bit too much too soon. It was all attack in the first lap, well, in the first sector, and he blew it immediately, essentially. So he made like 2 or 3 mistakes in that lap. He locked up, ran wide, almost hit the wall at one point. But I do think he could have been up there. If he could have beaten Sims, who knows? But at the end of the day, he made a mistake, and, you know, that's the way the cookie crumbles, to use the phrase.
Yes, that is the way the cookie crumbles. Jean-Eric Verne receiving a 20-place grid penalty for a battery change and forcing him to start at the back of the grid, but for being unable to take the full grid drop by only losing 13 places on the grid, he also received an additional drive-through penalty at the start of the race. I mean, that's pretty harsh. You're not going down far enough, or you can't, and so you get an extra penalty on top. I mean, why bother?
Yeah, it was the second day for Jean-Eric Verne was a total disaster. I mean, race 1 wasn't great. He had a steering malfunction or something. And it meant that he was in the 4th group of runners. Everything went wrong.
Which is a good thing to be in that group for. Yeah,
which is a good thing for him. Yeah, it was a good thing for him. And then in practice 3, he had some kind of problem with the car, the suspension damage on the left rear, meant that he couldn't get any running in on the new evolved track conditions. Yeah, just one thing to another, and then he did all right in qualifying under the circumstances. Then had this battery change, and once he's starting from 24th, he gets this stop-go penalty that he has to serve at the start of the race. You know, it's a downward spiral, really, isn't it? There's no getting out of that.
It is. You're you're not getting anywhere fast with that sort of start on the grid. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very unlucky.
Yeah, and particularly, I mean, this track we saw a lot of passing, but it's not like it's something easy like Tempelhof, where you can just carve through the field. It's nice and wide and sort of more purpose-built. This is windy, and you're sort of taking it into your own hands if you're going through the sort of the big windy S part. But let's get into the race, because let's talk about Jerome not getting off the start line. So Jerome D'Ambrosio, the cars moved to take their grid positions, and Jerome was stranded there. I felt really sorry for him because he did well, good qualifying from the Mahindra. Do we know what happened with him, Chris?
No, I haven't got a clue. I haven't looked into it, sadly. But so yeah, I mean, it was such a shame for D'Ambrosio because he did such a good job in not only the race 2 qualifying but also race 1 qualifying. His pace over 1 lap was clearly quite good, and Mahindra have always been quite good at starting a campaign, at least over the past few seasons. And they had very good pace in Diriyah last year as well. So obviously it's a big opportunity when you've got a driver on the second row of the grid in P4. Anything can happen. So for D'Ambrosio not to start that race, it is it's such a it's a loss, isn't it?
Let's also talk about Bird and Evans. A very interesting way of trying to put 2 cars through a gap that 1 car should go through. Not sure who was at fault here. It was concluded by the stewards it was a racing incident, but I've got to say that, you know, maybe Evans was a bit too eager.
It's a hard call, really, isn't it? Because I think Mitch tried to overtake into around the outside of turn 1, and had the inside line for turn 2, 3, and 4 onwards. And obviously, he was very much alongside Sam Bird. And on the Friday in Diriyah, there was a track change. So the inside wall of turn 4 was pushed outwards. So the track width at turn 4 got narrower. It was slimmer. And ultimately, because of that track change, the wall was there by the time Evans got there. But at the same time, Sam Bird didn't really leave him the room. I think Sam assumed that Mitch was going to bail out, and Mitch was definitely alongside. So it was, in effect, Mitch's position. But at the same time, Bird couldn't dive out of that move either, because he would be offline. And I think regardless of what happened there, Sam Bird would have been going into the wall, because he would have been offline, and he would have been on the dirt and all of the crap discarded on the outside line of the circuit. So yeah, I think it's fair that it was a racing incident. It is a bit of a hard call. But yeah, I mean, regardless, I think Bird was going in the wall no matter what happened. If he bailed out, he was going in, and he hit Evans, so he went in anyway. And then ultimately, it was Pascal Wehrlein who wrecked Sam Bird's race, wasn't it? Just rear-ended him.
Just tagging him.
Put him straight in the wall, so...
Yeah, Wehrlein didn't have much luck this race either. So we're just going to talk about Sebastian Buemi, who got a 10-second time penalty for causing a collision. Antonio Felix da Costa was coming into, well, the interestingly placed attack mode zone, and Sebastian Buemi was in front of him and decided to turn in, and Antonio just flicked him round. So Sebastian Buemi, very unfortunate there, trying to get into the attack mode, and Antonio just taking the normal racing line, as it should be. And, Buemi's slowing, and he's moving. Oh, whoops, I've hit him.
Yeah. It was a funny incident, wasn't it? I think it was partially caused by the positioning of attack mode.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, Buemi was on the racing line, went to turn in. He was much slower. I don't think da Costa really predicted that, and just turned him really. At the same time, I think it was fair that Da Costa did get the penalty, the drive-through. But, I mean, the way Buemi rejoined the race as well, that's, yeah. I mean, he was justified to get the time penalty for that. Because he almost took out Mortara, a couple of cars, and his teammate went wide at turn 17, turn 18, I think it was. So, bit of a mess, wasn't it?
It was a bit of a mess, absolutely. Yes, and then Buemi just inching, trying to rejoin, and pretty dangerous there. So maybe that's why he got the penalty.
It reminded me of Sebastian Vettel rejoining in Italy this year, where he hit Lance Stroll at the Italian Grand Prix.
Yes.
That's how I'd describe it.
Nick de Vries, a 5-second time penalty for a technical infringement, and then received a drive-through penalty converted into 24 seconds after overtaking Oliver Turvey after the safety car procedure. This is an interesting one, and a lot of drivers got penalties for overtaking, most notably my man, Maxi Gunter, who hates being called Maxi,
Yes.
so, which I found out in the broadcast. So Maximilian Gunter, not that he probably listens to the podcast, but you never know.
We'll say hello to him right now. Hello, Maxi.
Hello.
How are you?
So, yes, we've got a few penalties. Felipe Massa, speeding in the pit lane, 24-second time penalty. Martin Qua, drive-through penalty for causing a collision with Nico Muller. And then another drive-through for overtaking 4 cars after the safety car procedure. And probably my most unfavourable thing to happen to a driver this race was Oliver Turvey, who originally finished 9th, which was great. What a drive from that man. And would have gotten promoted to 6th. A Neo in 6th. After all those penalties, but was later disqualified for using more than the 40 kilowatts of total energy. He used 40.06 over the race.
Heartbreaking.
Instead of 40. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And, I mean, Turvey, brilliant driver. We saw that in the first race, in the qualifying, right on it. Obviously had the good luck of, well, I don't know if it's good luck of actually being in Group 4 for qualifying, but he definitely made it happen, and what a drive, you know. And do you think Neo are going to get any more points considering that drive?
But the thing is, at the start of the season, I did say I think Neo aren't going to score any points, which was quite a bold claim. And then when Oliver Turvey finished in the top 10, my immediate thought was, oh, flipping heck. Bleep. Yeah, big bleep. Pardon me. But when the disqualification came through, I thought, oh, great, in theory. I don't look like an idiot now. But it was heartbreaking. I think it's such a hard call, isn't it? Yes, I think they will get points this season looking at Oliver Turvey's performance. I mean, they have got that Dragon Penske EV3 powertrain from last season, which was all right when it got the job. Well, it didn't get the job done, but it did. It was better than Neo's. Yeah, I think you'll get more points, really. It's a long season. There's 12 more races to go. Anything can happen. We saw in the Diriyah race 2 that it can be totally mental. So yeah, I think he will get points. Ma, on the other hand, I don't hold much hope for. I remember watching the race and saw Ma running inside the top 10 and thought, oh my god, it's happening. He's finally going to get points for the first time in his Formula E career that's lasted multiple seasons. And then I didn't realise that he overtook four cars behind the safety car, which is fantastically mental. It's insane.
Yeah, that's. I mean, if it had stuck, that's a good haul.
Yeah, I mean that's incredible, isn't it? Like 4 cars he overtook behind the safety car. That's impressive for a mistake. And not only that, I mean, in FP1 he crashed on his outlap. In qualifying, he crashed on his outlap. Then in the final race of the year, he crashed at Nico Muller as well. So,
Nico Muller, what a torrid time he's had over this just weekend. Just terrible.
Yeah, it's frustrating to see, isn't it? I mean, we know this guy can drive. He's an exceptionally quick driver, and he can go all the way in Formula E. He is such a talented guy. And his debut weekend was a total disaster. Everything went wrong. I mean, he didn't start the first race because of an accident in qualifying 1, and then he was just, well, binned by Ma, essentially, in race 2.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the only way to describe it, really, isn't it?
It's very, very annoying, but it'll get better.
It will. It absolutely will for him. Also, both Virgin cars DNF'd because Robin Freins just lost the rear and went into the wall. So, a very, very poor showing from them. And, I mean, they've got to get those points if they're going to stay up the top, because we know that Techeetah, the hunters that they are, will just hunt them down if they don't pick up those crucial points all throughout the season.
Yeah, precisely. I mean, that's what we saw last year, isn't it? The team that is the most consistent will win the championship. The driver who's the most consistent will win the championship. And it went from... The Virgin Racing very much went from hero to zero in Diriyah. They won the first race. Freins got P5, very strong haul of 36 points, I believe. And then in race 2... Bird was in the wall, and then after a safety car period, Freins was in the wall almost immediately. Yeah, it's not the kind of... It's a good start. They're still at the top of the standings, I believe, but it's not ideal, is it? I mean, they could have got so much more from that race and been clearly ahead.
Actually, Mercedes is top.
That's a bigger surprise then, do you know what I mean? I mean, look at what they've done there. They've let Mercedes get on top,
Well, that's the thing.
6 years down the line.
And look, no, please no. Going back to the most consistent driver at the moment, that is Stoffel van Dorn, isn't it?
Yeah. Never thought I'd hear that, mind.
Yes, we won't go into the 21-0 qualifying record against Fernando Alonso, which has been stressed, obviously, after the Williams pairing with George Russell defeating Robert Kubica 21-0.
George Russell is Fernando Alonso.
He basically is, yeah. But Sims defending his pole position and coming out on top in the second race. I mean, he had it all to do, but I think it was probably an easier time than race 1. And then Degrassi's Degrassi. He's a podium master. Then Stoffel van Dorn, Mortara, a good showing for the powertrains from Mercedes, the Mercedes powertrain. Roland Apt. Now, this one, James Collado in 7th. What a drive. What a turnaround from race 1.
It was the most unexpected points finish of the weekend, I think. I mean...
I was so happy to see that. I mean, he looked like such a dejected figure after that first race, but to bring it back and to be able to get points, I mean, that's all that Jaguar has to ask for after putting the faith in him.
Precisely. I mean, he spent a lot of time in the barriers. I mean, we can't deny that. He did spend a lot of time in the wall. But the learning curve that he'll be on right now is exceptional. Obviously, he's done a lot of simulator work with them, or will have done, and he did pre-season testing with them. But what he learned over the first 2 races in Diriyah will be invaluable to his season. And to get a P7 that early on, yes, there was a lot of penalties, and if he hadn't have if there weren't those penalties, I don't think he would have gotten points. But it's just a bit of confidence, isn't it? It was a reward at the end of a tough weekend for him. So yeah, it's encouraging. And I think, it shows that Jaguar have put their money on the right man. Because there was a lot of doubt, wasn't there? Is James Collado the right driver here? They've gotten rid of Alex Lynn, who got pole on debut. Piquet was awful. So we don't talk about that. Oh, we do.
Shout out to Nelson.
Yes. Shout out to Nelson if you're listening. Imagine if he is. But yeah, very good drive from James Collado. Hats off to the guy. He, deserved, I think, a welcome reward. So
then we've got Jean-Eric Verne clawing his way back somehow to 8th place. Then the Kiwi, Brendan Hartley. Great drive from him, picking up the scraps, which is, it's great to see. Rookie. But yeah, top 10 finish.
Very good. In only his second race as well. And it means he's ahead of Neil Jani in the point standings already. Oof.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Neil's taken a bit of time to adjust, but I'm sure he'll come good. And then Da Costa. So just want to talk about Maximilian Gunter overtaking a couple of cars, getting a penalty, finished P2, got on the podium, but then later, after the race, it was stripped as he was given a 24-second time penalty, and that put him, I think it was 11th. So unfortunate, and he had the pace. He just needed to be a little bit more patient, and
yeah, that's the thing.
There was quite a few drivers that fell foul of the safety car line.
Yeah, I mean, had Max Gunther not overtaken behind the safety car, I do think he would have finished on the podium. It is just a patience thing, and he might not have finished in second, but it's encouraging, isn't it?
Very.
He knows that he's got the pace to finish on the podium. He might not have the points or the silverware to show that now, but he did finish second in that race. It is looking quite good for BMW at the moment, I won't lie. So yeah.
It is. It's looking very racy. The car's looking good. The drivers seem to be pretty well on it, especially Sims, of course. And the outfit as a whole, Mr. Griffiths, he's been smiling all weekend. Let's hope it's a continuation of that in Santiago.
Yeah, he was a very happy chappy, wasn't he? And I think quite right too.
Well, for sure. Right, the standings. Alexander Sims on 35 points. Stoffel Van Dorn on 30, right behind him. 26 for Bird. Oliver Rowland on 22. Now, I looked at that one and thought, there wasn't much coverage of Oliver Rowland, but somehow he's up the top of the points. And I just, under the radar somehow, that one surprised me. 12 points round 1, 10 points round 2, another consistency master. Well, a good start anyway. So, yeah. Degrassi, 18 points. Lotterer, of course, 18 as well. Mortara, 18 as well. And then we've got 10 points for Robin Frines, De Vries on 8, Daniel Abt also on 8, and James Collado on 6. 11th in the championship after the first couple of rounds. In the team's championship, Mercedes EQ, 38 points. Envision Virgin, 36. BMW, 35. 26 for Audi. Nissan with 22. So all of the points from Oliver Rowland. Buemi yet to get off the line. Tag Heuer Porsche Formula E team on 18. Venturi also on 18, courtesy of Eduardo Mortara. Panasonic Jaguar on 8, 7 for DS Techeetah, Mahindra on 2, and Dragon also on 2, and Neo on Zip. So, Chris, who was your driver of the day for round 2?
Either Alexander Sims. I mean, well, yeah, I think it has to be Sims, really, doesn't it? I can't think of a more perfect candidate, to be honest with you. It was a textbook win. He absolutely bolted at the start. built up a little buffer so he could use attack mode effectively. And he managed the gap perfectly for every safety car. And on every restart, he was storming, wasn't he? And then he used attack mode strategically before the safety car line, once the safety car had gone into the pit so you couldn't get overtaken. Textbook, honestly. A very intelligent drive and very mature drive from him. So, hats off. Loved it.
Yes, I think him and BMW did a lot of work to sort of rectify what happened in the first race, and I think they sort of looked at his drive and energy overuse for some reason, and we saw he was 2% down very early on, and I think he was probably wondering why, and that all turned around. So this was a flawless performance from Sims. He managed the race, the restarts perfect, and it all came together. So he has to, definitely has to. Also, James Collado, staying out of trouble, picking up the points. I mean, that drive for a rookie after minimal running over the weekend, you've got to say that really he should have got driver of the day just because of the absolute just massive effort he would have put in, and yeah, time in the car, everything, all that adding up. Great drive from him also. Shout out, James. Good job.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I mean, the state of mind he must have been in after all of those accidents, he must have felt like at the bottom of the world. So to bounce back like that and have those 6 points, be like, oh, actually, fair enough. I'll take that. So, hats off.
Yeah, and I mean, after the first 2 rounds, he's beating Mitch Evans.
God, that's actually true, yes. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder when the last time that actually happened. Has it ever happened?
What, Mitch Evans getting beaten?
Has Mitch Evans ever been behind his teammate in Formula E? I don't think he has, you know.
Oh, right.
Mind you, Season 4. Because Piquet was actually alright then. As much as that pains me to say.
That's all good. I mean,
we'll tell you in the next episode.
We'll tell you in the next episode, but I think, Evans will start the ball rolling in Santiago. So with that, you can follow us on Twitter mostly. We are at Regen Racing. And we have an awesome one-page website from Card at regenracingpodcast.com. Is there anything further that you'd like to plug, Chris? I've got something, but I'll let you go first.
I don't think so.
You're still chugging away on all the bits and pieces for Formula 1 and Formula E over at Motorsport Monday?
Of course I am. So yeah, I shall plug myself. So if you're after a fantastic bit of coverage for Formula E in the IPC Trophy, I would thoroughly recommend the publication that is Motorsport Week. And it's just the title Motorsport Monday. So Motorsport Week and Motorsport Monday are a pair of publications that are independently run, which is very rare in this day and age amidst Autosport and Motorsport.com. And they offer premium Formula E coverage and content. To listeners, you'll be unsurprised to hear that I am doing that. So yeah, have a look. I can't. That sounds. Yeah. What happened to humility, huh? That sounds really bad. So yeah, I mean, have a look. You can read my work there. You can see what I do on a daily basis. Delve into my words, live my world, and yeah, bon appetit. For Motorsport Monday, you'll find more in-depth analysis and content on there, and hopefully some interviews over the next year. If things go according to plan. Yeah, so that was a total hash job. Read Motorsport Week and Motorsport Monday. Your views are much appreciated. And yes,
good.
Enjoy.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yes, I can confirm it is brilliant, and obviously good content from Chris. Also, I'm going to be on Copy That Mate, a Formula 1 podcast. It is brilliant. So Ben Sheets and Xavier Vasquez, the hosts of that show, and they talk mostly about Formula One, but a little bit of everything in between, and they are sort of looking into Formula E over the break of Formula One, like a lot of people that will be needing that motorsport fix. So we're going to talk Abu Dhabi and the conclusion of the 2019 Formula One season, but we're also going to talk Formula E. Yeah, it's going to be good. So I will be putting some stuff up on Twitter and letting you all know a little bit more of that one. Probably going to be happening this weekend, which I'm looking forward to. So, Chris, you'll probably be in London or waking up at a ridiculous time, I assume. One of the two. Okay. Thank you, listeners, for listening to us ramble about Formula E. And, if you want to get in touch with us, hello@regenracingpodcast.com. We will see you again for the Santiago E-Prix. And Chris has just lost it for some reason. Goodbye.
Ramble is the perfect word. Bye-bye. Not a sausage. All my lines are wavy.